Hello, and this is the last episode of our series on how do you really tackle interdisciplinary pedagogy, and we have been suggesting the method of project-based learning. Today I thought I'd bring to you something which I personally enjoyed creating, an idea of circulation and how does it appear in all the subjects, because you just think of circulation and biology maybe. But before that, what I wanted to say, since this is the last episode of this series on PBL through interdisciplinary pedagogy, I'm appealing to all the teachers that this is a presentation where we would urge you to break all these arbitrary borders between subjects, transcend them, pursue creative and rigorous thinking, which would actually intertwine all the subjects together, and we can have fun doing that. So just stay with me. Today we're talking about circulation. Okay. So what is it that I want to show to you actually? Just to repeat what I've been saying in the previous episodes, there are three points we need to keep in mind whenever we're looking at interdisciplinary pedagogy through PBL. One, what is the essential question that this is aiming to answer? And therefore, I am saying today that how do concepts and theories and methods circulate across subjects really? Ideas, how do they circulate? I have another essential question for this one, which is how are all these ideas which are being circulated everywhere, the theories which are being circulated, how are they exchanged, how are they borrowed, how do they transform when they cross from one discipline into another? And there has to be an end goal for any PBL, and therefore that can be nothing but understanding the interconnectedness of all these disciplines whenever we are trying to solve problems in life, as well as is there an end product that I could think of. And because we are talking about ideas and certain other concepts regarding circulation, I'm wondering whether we can bring this into our conversations whenever we are exploring different aspects of different subjects. Okay? So let's begin. In fact, even as I was settling down today to sort of record this, I saw a young girl walking with large flares, bell bottoms they were called. And when I was in college, we used to have that in fashion. Bell bottoms, it seems to be back. So fashion is always in circulation as well. That was just an aside. So interdisciplinary teaching actually promotes a learning experience which is based on interaction of knowledge of various cycles in a virtuous cycle. Virtuous, upward cycle. So basically, encyclopedia, en meaning in, cyclo meaning in a cycle, pedia meaning education, particularly for children, pediatrics for children. And therefore what it means is joining up the unconnected dots, unconnected points of view of knowledge together in an active cycle. And that's what Modern said in 1977. So today we're talking about where can we find circular patterns or spirals in all our subjects. And let's begin by taking the idea of environmental science or EVS. And therefore we have a water cycle and we have so many other cycles there. Butterfly cycle, plant life cycle, and everything which is in a cycle. No beginning and no end. Environment, reduce and reuse and recycle, all of that is also in a cycle. How about life sciences? So I've got two ideas here. One is of course from botany, which is the plant life cycle and the flowers, and the other is from zoology, biology actually, which is that for life sciences, which is the circulation of blood. This is the first idea which comes to our mind the minute we say circulation, but I can show you that it appears in almost all the subjects that we deal with. What about physics? So there is this magnetic current that we can be talking about. We could also talk about the whirlpool and the tornado, and the force and the motion, which is circular. And everything in physics that we do with force, motion is got to do with something which is in some kind of a cycle. What about chemistry? I've taken the idea of a battery here, and therefore positive and negative flow of electricity inside a battery, and that is also in a cycle or a circular motion. Is there anything else we have for you? Of course. What about mathematics? And I'm perpetually fascinated by the Fibonacci cycle. This is also known as the square root spiral or Einstein spiral, also probably known as the spiral of Pythagoras. So this is, how it is, right? 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 5 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, 13 plus 8 is 21. So it's a square root spiral, Fibonacci, where you find it everywhere in life. Plenty of work has been done on this. So our brain is also designed. I mean, you can find the Fibonacci everywhere if you look hard enough, actually. So the old brain and the new brain, and of course the arrangement of the seeds in a sunflower, and so much else that we know about this spiral, okay, the Fibonacci spiral. What about languages? So there is this virtuous cycle. So whenever we are talking about some good thoughts, it's a virtuous cycle. If it's bad, if it's unhealthy thoughts, then it's a spiral which goes down. If they're virtuous thoughts, then it's a cycle which goes up. And we have a lot of talk therapy going on these days, that you talk to each other, and this conversation also goes on in a cycle for therapy. How about religion? And I found this absolutely stunning when I came across this. Look at this image, you know something, the shankha, the shankha that we blow on, actually the conch shell as it's called in English, that's also in a Fibonacci cycle, actually, Fibonacci spiral. That's the way it is designed, the square root spiral. And what I was fascinated to see is the position of the Jyotirlings, the 12 Jyotirlings in India, my country, is also being marked in a Fibonacci cycle. But that's not enough. The picture, all the pictures of Mecca, Medina, the Kaaba, you will see the arrangement of the faithfuls in spirals. You see the same kind of movement in Buddhism. The monks, they move around in cycles. Our own in India, the Hinduism has this concept of pradakshina, which is also a circular movement. Okay? You have prayer wheels in monasteries which also move in a cycle. It's everywhere. What about art? The mandala. And so many things that we know about art. I just have one slide in which I want to capture it, but here is something absolutely stunning. A masterpiece from Vincent van Gogh, and you know what it is, right? It's called the Starry Nights. And this also has a Fibonacci pattern and a cycle. Let's see whether there are some other subjects that we might have left out. What about history? Have you seen this? It's a fascinating spiral of evolution. It begins from the oldest rock, 4.5 billion years ago, to Homo sapiens. And we also have there this wheels of Theodorus. So the wheels of Theodorus, you might want to look that up. I'll put that into my comment section in this video. And that also you will see is in a kind of an arrangement of mathematical spirals. Okay? But that also is actually tracing the history of a bicycle and the wheels. Geography, all the cycles of the currents of the air, the currents of the wind, the currents of the ocean, and so on. These are also in cycles. And you can see tornadoes coming up like this. How about economics, you might say? So we have the circular flow diagram in economics from households to firms. So spending is done from household, as you know, but goods are also consumed in the households. Household incomes are decided, the firms are deciding the incomes. Then again, men, machinery, material, all goes into the factory from the household. So that's a continuous cycle. And I love this image about business studies. That you invest, your business grows. As it grows, you invest more and more, and it grows so much, you actually start investing in other businesses, and another cycle starts. So that's something about business studies. Some more, sports. All of us have run the relay race with a baton going front and back. Very, very competitive we used to be as kids. And that is also, all these tracks are in a cycle. And today it happens to be International Yoga Day as I'm recording this. And our Surya Namaskar, which is also followed all over the world, is also a cyclic movement for the health and strength of all our body parts. The movement of a ball is also Fibonacci. It's quite fascinating, really. What about ICT? I just have a simple thing, because ICT is all about a web. But the reason I put a spider's web, that is the spider's web is also a Fibonacci pattern. So that's the kind of connection I'm making with spirals and with circular patterns. PE, all kinds of hand rotation, leg rotation, all of those are circular movement. And when you're doing vigorous PE, there is lovely blood circulation and oxygen circulation in your body. Probably the last one is about music. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti again arranged as a Fibonacci. And this is a continuous cycle of one particular tune which we put into a loop. If you're familiar a little bit with classical music, and I'm in India, so Indian classical music. So whenever a percussionist is trying to display his skill, the tabla jab bajata hai, so there is a continuous loop of a music played on the harmonium, jisko hum lehra kehte hain. And that is also a cycle, a particular cycle which is played for someone else to display their own skill. And this one I just loved, because this is what has happened to all of us in the pandemic. We have also bent down in the Fibonacci cycle. Okay, just a little bit more. As I conclude this entire series with this episode, there is no doubt that borrowing and transferring concept, theories, and methods between disciplines can generate new and interdisciplinary knowledge. But I love this. These are true cases of healthy contaminations. Contaminate all the subjects and something new and beautiful is likely to grow out of it. If you like what we are saying, do like our channel. Do subscribe to it. We continuously bring you cutting edge research. Teach children how to think and not what to think, as is said in NEP 2020, and we can do that in full measure when we follow the interdisciplinary approach through PBL. Signing off for now, this is Devika Nadig for Shikshangan Education Initiatives.